Hi, everyone. My name is Eleanor Torosian, and I will be guiding you through this leadership experience in high school webinar. So I know that this can be really daunting. I don't know if you're thinking of applying in the future or if you're in this current application cycle, but we're here to help you and we're here to answer any question that you might have. So a little bit about me. My name is Eleanor Torosian, and I am a second year student at King's College London. I am currently studying biomedical science. I am leaving soon to California for a study abroad experience. So I will be at the University of California, Santa Barbara. After I come back, I hope to apply and get accepted in graduate medicine in the United Kingdom. So a little bit about my high school experience. I graduated from the American School of Milan, where I spent 3 years of my high school there. I spent the first year at Cairo American College. So during my time at both high schools, I was really overwhelmed with what to do and what experiences I needed to get into a university where I could thrive, that would be good for me, and where I would be happy. And so I started doing a lot of things such as student council, swimming, Model United Nations, math clubs, and a lot of volunteering groups. So I've done a lot. And what are we covering today? So why is leadership experience important and what can you gain from it? And then we're going to be going over leadership experience and positions in student government, in sports team and group-based activities, and in any other club/activities. So let's start with a little bit of an overview. So why is leadership experience so important? So when I was applying, I was really stressed because I wanted to get as many good titles as I could. But then I realized that that's not what universities really care about, and that's not what your future jobs will care about. What really matters from any leadership experience that you might have is the skills that you can gain from it and how well you can reflect and build upon those skills. So leadership really gives you a set of really important professional skills that you can apply in university and future jobs. And whilst applying to universities, really, they're going to be looking at what skills do you have to make you stand out, to make you thrive, and to make you succeed in university. The main thing that you really do learn from being in a leadership position is dealing with people and understanding the dynamics of a group and understanding people's needs and knowing how to respond accordingly. So being able to gain those skills and being able to reflect upon those skills is extremely important. But that's not it really, because with these experiences, you can get so many applicable skills. These are just a few that I thought of when I was working on this slide, but really there's so many more. And you can see how all of these can be so important in your future and can be so important for you in university or on the job market. I mean, communication, organization, strategy, planning, anything from that to creative thinking and flexibility is a set of skills that if you can show that you've developed them, that you've been able to reflect upon them, it really is what matters to the university admissions. And it really is what will matter to you when you want to thrive and you want to do well in university. So that's a lot. I'm sure it's really confusing and it can be a lot to think about right now. I know that when I was applying to university, or I was getting ready to apply to university, I was really overwhelmed because I really wanted to stand out. So let's break it down a little bit. Student government. So student government might be the most obvious choice, but that doesn't mean it's a bad choice. You can get a lot of experience in leadership in student government. I mean, after all, it is kind of what it's made for. The main misunderstanding about student government is that if you're not class president, it doesn't matter, which is so wrong. I mean, first of all, being class president right away can just be really overwhelming if you don't know what you're doing. And having previous experience, such as climbing the ladder, kind of starting from secretary, treasurer, and then going on to becoming vice president and president, can be a lot more easier for most students. But that's not just it, really. Being secretary, treasurer, or any other position that might not be as shiny is just as important because you get so many important applicable skills from that. So for example, let's start off with secretary, maintaining files, preparing agendas, typing materials, organization, communication with the president on what they're doing, creative thinking. There's a lot of strategy and planning that goes into that role. And being able to talk about it, being able to reflect on what you've done and how that's helped you prepare you for university is extremely important. Looking at treasurer as well, taking care of annual budgets, maintaining financial records, assisting with sales and fundraisers. I mean, there's a lot of organization and strategy that comes into that as well as mathematical thinking. So all of these positions are extremely important only if you are able to think about what you've done, get like creative about the way that you can reflect upon your experiences and the skills that you've gained. Now going on to vice president. I mean, vice president represents the student body at events alongside the president, takes over meetings when the president is absent, but also coordinates so much committee work. And the president, of course, represents the student body at events, supervises the dynamic of the student government, and develops agendas and goals for the year. So here you can see a lot of another important set of skills, creativity, organization, communication. It's really about what you have gained from the experience, because when you apply, you can't just apply by giving them a list of everything you've done. That's not enough. You have to show that you've done a lot of things, but that you haven't just done them from like a passive point of view. You've actually engaged in it. You've grown as a person. You've had new experiences, developed new skills. That's what matters the most, really. And of course, talking about the student body and the faculty and staff, they're extremely involved in student government, as you can probably guess. So the student body listens to their requests and needs. The student government has to listen to their requests and needs for the year, develop good relationship with them, and they have to plan event for them. So being able to communicate with the student body, being able to listen to their requests and needs is something that the student government needs to learn how to do. And that's also something that you can apply in your future job, or that in your university experience. And of course, faculty and staff. Faculty and staff are extremely important. You have to get an extremely good relationship with them in order to thrive in your position in student government. You have to get approval and supervision from them for events. And you need to go through them if you have new ideas and new things you want to implement. So being able to develop a good communication, a good relationship with them is important. And it's also a skill that in university will help you a lot, because you're going to have to develop a relationship with your professors, with your advisor, with your thesis coordinators. So being able to talk to people in a higher position than you will help you throughout your entire life. Okay, so how to and tips. As I said before, organization, deadlines. Deadlines is the most important thing, not only when you're applying, but also whilst you have the position. You have to stick to deadlines if you want your role to be positive. You have to stick to the plans and the schedules, and you have to be extremely organized. As I said before, relationship with the faculty early on will save your life in a leadership position. And then what you have to do really is communicate with student body. You have to be able to show up with concrete plans, realistic steps, and timelines alongside them, or else they won't take you as seriously as you should be taken. So you have to be able to show up, and you have to be able to have a plan. You have to be able to have realistic steps, a timeline, something that you will stick to, something that you can show that you haven't just come up with this 2 seconds ago whilst you were going up to the podium. You have to be able to show that you're actually invested in this. And this is what I think helped me a lot in my time as student president. So I climbed the ladder as well, I suppose. I started off as treasurer, and then When I moved schools, I was really stressed because I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to get elected anymore because I know no one there. And then here I was a year later being elected class president. So how? When I was campaigning, I realized that there were two important things. You had to be able to have good academic goals. You can't just be a fun class president. You have to have concrete goals. You work with the faculty. You have to improve your class, your school. You have to do the best for your education. But just that won't be enough to get you elected. You have to be able to also have kind of a fun side to it all. And that's where the creative thinking comes in. So really maybe starting a new talent show or being more involved in the school spirit week is really what helps you save your campaign. So we've just received a question. All the leadership positions, school government, my school, have been filled up. How can I still take part in leadership stuff? So as I said before, it's not the position that really matters. I mean, it can be really stressful because I thought when I was in high school that, oh, I have to get this, this, and this. But you can get leadership from even the most unlikely things, which we're going to talk about throughout this presentation. What matters is that you're able to show what you've learned from it. So it can be even team captain, or being even the older kid can show leadership. If you're a junior or a senior and you see someone younger struggling, and then you are able to help them through giving them advice or setting a good example, you can use that as leadership experience because it is leadership experience. It's what a leader would do. You don't have to just really have a lot of titles in order to be able to show that you have this leadership experience throughout high school. And then, of course, there's other clubs that you can look at, which we're going to talk about later on in this presentation. So I really wouldn't stress. I know it can be really stressful, but when I was applying to university, I went to I don't know how many webinars, and what they said most of the time really was, it's not what you do, but how well you can reflect on it that really matters to us. So, speaking of other kinds of leadership, let's look at sports leadership. So, I think that leadership in sports team can be a little bit different because there's this whole idea of leading through example that is a lot more concrete because it's a smaller group, so it's easier to be done. Doesn't mean you can't do it in general throughout high school. I just found it a lot easier to do it in a team. So this whole concept of seniority. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example. I joined the swim team as a freshman, and I was a little bit overwhelmed because there were so many older kids. They seemed to be so much better than me, and I felt like I was falling behind with my academics, and I didn't know how to behave in regards to my studies and my passion for my team. And the older kids in the team were so helpful to me. They became a role model to the newest arrivals, and they made the team a lot more inclusive and a lot more fun, and it just really helped my experience. And what really happened is that they had a specific set of skills that I didn't have yet because I was younger and I was inexperienced, and they were able to pass it on to me. And then when I became a senior or a junior and I was with more experience and I saw that the younger kids were struggling, I could do the same thing. And that's something that I talked about in my university application. I talked about how I was able to set an example, be a role model, and talk to them about their fears and their apprehensions. And I think that that helped me in my application. Of course, there's also the very obvious choice of becoming team captain or co-captain or whatever hierarchy you have at your school. And from there, you can talk about being responsible for the team because as a captain, when I became captain, I had to lead in warm-up and I had to lead in practice. I had to plan events and social gatherings. And there, once again, a new set of skills comes in because I had to be organized to plan events. I had to show creativity to think of different events instead of doing the same things every year. And of course, once again, the relationship between the team members and the coaches, being able to develop a relationship with someone in a higher ranking than you, being able to talk to them, being able to help others through the relationship that you've started. And let's talk about other clubs. So far we've talked about student government and sports team, but you might not be into sports and you might not have the time to campaign to become part of student government. And that's totally fine. Like I said, it doesn't have to be the highest position in order for it to count as good experience, as a way to get you into university, as a way to help you thrive at university. It can be literally anything. There's a lot of misconceptions about leadership in high school, that if you're not class president, it doesn't count. And I think that that's just completely wrong, like most universities think as well. So other clubs, other opportunities. This is just what I took part in, and there are of course a lot of other things that you can do. I mean, you just have to look at what your school offers, what your community is able to give to you, and just make the most out of it. So at my school, for example, there was Model United Nations. So just in itself, being part of Model United Nations shows good communication skills, interest in strategy, interest in planning, interest in politics and all of that. So that's something that you can use on its own. But then, of course, within these clubs, there's always some leadership experience that you can get. So there's becoming chair, deputy secretary general, secretary general. There's a lot of leadership positions that you can get. For example, I became a chair and I saw that it helped me a lot gain some communication skills, some strategy and planning, because of course you are in charge of an entire committee. So you have to be able to accommodate to people's needs, make sure everything runs smoothly, show some authority, but also being able to make the environment fun. And talking about that and putting that in my university application was really helpful to me. And then academic clubs. This can be literally anything. It can be math club, it can be school paper, it can be whatever it is that you are interested in. What matters is that you have interests and you have passions and that you want to pursue those interests and passions. That's what makes you stand out. That's what makes you you. And that's what matters the most. And in these academic clubs, I found that there's a lot of teamwork and leading a group that comes into it, and also lead by example, because you might get older and you can see that you've had previous knowledge and previous experience that other people might not have. And looking at that, the school paper, for example, if someone is new to it and they're unsure about how to approach an article, or they're unsure about which image to use for the front of the paper, like there's a lot of things that you can come in and help, and that you can set an example and you can help other people by teaching them what had previously been taught to you. And then, of course, we can always circle back to volunteering. Volunteering shows social skills, group work, and of course, the very obvious generosity. And leadership in volunteering can be shown through initiatives and motivation. If you motivate other people to come and join, if you show that you came up with a new idea, a new strategy, a volunteering club or a new volunteering rule to implement in your group, it can be really beneficial, because not only it shows that you're interested in like social issues, that you want to be part of it, that you're not just watching it from a distance but are actually getting involved. You can also show that you can stand out, you can excel in your field. And of course, you can start with the Red Cross, UNICEF, the very obvious ones, but then even local volunteering opportunities are really great. And now, these are just some of the things that I've listed, some of the things that I've come up with, as well as some other people that helped me create this presentation. But leadership experience comes in all types of it comes in so many ways, and you shouldn't just get stuck on trying to get the one that seems the most appealing to universities, because then you won't be able to thrive and you won't be able to do as well as you want to do because you're not even that interested in it. If you find something that you're really passionate about and something that you want to be involved in genuinely for you, not just for what you want to write on a paper when you send in your applications, it will help you do better, and it will help you gain more skills, and which will help you get into university. So last slide, what you can write on a paper. I was class president, team captain. It doesn't matter if it doesn't come alongside a learning experience, a reflection, a way that you were able to build upon what you've done rather than just doing it to do it, to be able to say that you've done it. If you're able to reflect on your experiences and show that you've developed applicable skills that will make you stand out and thrive in university, then that's just beneficial to your application. And it is way more important than showing that you have a great number of experiences. Are there any other questions? Would be happy to address anything. Okay, well, if there are no other questions coming in, I think that this will be it for today. I hope this was helpful for everyone, and best of luck for your applications and for your future. Thank you so much for tuning in.